So welcome all our viewers today to this virtual roundtable on an electric vehicle. All of us know that electric vehicle as an industry sector has been booming tremendously. I am Aditya Mishra from CIEL HR, India's fastest growing HR services company. We specialize in recruiting and staffing. We have put together an amazing panel of experts today from the EV industry to talk about how the landscape of EV industry is emerging and what it means from a human resources perspective for companies as well as professionals who are either working in the sector or aspiring to join that sector. So just to set the context, a few pointers so that we can keep in mind as we go into the discussion. Firstly, Niti Aayog aims to achieve EV penetration of about 70% for all commercial cars, 30% for private cars, and 40% for buses, 80% for two and three wheelers by 2030. I'm just referring to some data points so that all of us familiarize with the kind of transformation the mobility industry in India is going through. National Mission on Transformative Mobility and Battery Storage aims to create a phased manufacturing program for 5 years. And then it is supporting setting up various large-scale export competitive batteries, integrated batteries, and cell manufacturing giga plants. So by giga plants, what we mean is in gigawatts, that's the kind of power that these batteries can produce. So the sector is abuzz with funding activities. 100% FDI possibility is there in this sector. So this industry is picking up pace in developing new manufacturing hubs as well as improving the infrastructure for the charging stations. We were looking at the investments flow into this sector. 2021 to 2022, there is a huge increase, almost like a five-fold kind of an increase, which has happened, huge increase. Because of this increase in investment, the companies are also expanding quickly. So we did a survey, CLHR did a survey some time ago, studying about 268 companies across industry sectors of electric vehicles, FMCG, MSMEs, EPC, and startup sector. We wanted to understand what is the median tenure or how long people tend to stay in a particular sector before they change their jobs. So EV came out to be the sector with the highest mobility. That means people tend to spend the lowest amount of time in the EV sector. It was just about 1.8 years, while the startups little better at about 1.9, and the best was engineering, procurement, construction industry with about 5 years, and FMCG about 4 years, and MSME about 3 years, 3.5 years. So that shows the amount of mobility which is there, and the sector is always looking for new talent. So the outlook, when we look at the job postings in this particular sector, huge increase again from April to December itself, the job postings, the job post on the internet was about 35% more. And the employee hiring trend in the 6 months has gone up about 20%. So in spite of all the economic global headwinds that we hear, this is a sector which is growing and growing at an extremely fast pace. Bengaluru is one of those hottest locations of EV talent, having a large percentage of the open positions in Bangalore. Of course, Delhi, NCR, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Mumbai, etc. are the other hot locations, but Bangalore is the hottest. We see a lot of innovation in technology and rapid growth in this sector. So companies are focusing on more design, development, and of course, manufacturing. So I have got an expert panel, as I said. Let me introduce them quickly. We have Mr. Abhimanyu Sen, who's Senior General Manager, Head of HR for Mahindra Electric Vehicle Technology Center. Abhimanyu has been part of the Mahindra Group, Mahindra and Mahindra, for about 6 years now. About 20 years of overall, more than 20 years of overall experience in the industry in different geographies, different verticals. He has worked in companies like ICICI Bank, EY, Kotak Life Insurance, and GE before joining Mahindra in 2017. He has been heading currently the Mahindra Electric Vehicle Technology Center. Welcome, Abhimanyu.
Thank you, Abhishek. It's a privilege being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhimanyu. We have Mr. Pradeep R, who's the Head of HR, VP HR of Exide Energy Solutions. He is based out of Bangalore. And Pradeep is an established HR professional with, again, more than 20 years of experience in renowned brands, large companies like PwC, has been long time with Siemens, about 17 years plus, and then Dassault Systems, about 5 years, and then currently the head of HR and vice president in Exide Energy. He is building this organization, taking long strides. And finally, we have Ketan Chitnis, who's business head of advanced sales in L&T Power, two senior HR professionals, and then we have got a very senior business professional from the business side. And Ketan is more than 25 years of experience, about 26 years of experience and knowledge, all in power solutions, having exposure in all the verticals with various aspects of the business. Strategic planning implementation is his core focus right now. He has joined L&T Power last year. Before that, he was with Next Charge, which is Exide Leclanche that time, and Wari Group, Base Corporation, and PowerCon TradeLink. So that's this panel brings together experience from HR side as well as the business side. So I can promise that we will have very excellent conversation. Let me start by asking all three of you to give very quick comments about the current job market, and then what kind of trends that you see today. We spoke about the demand of talent and we spoke about attrition, but I would like you all to be a little more specific about the kind of skills that you all are hiring, the future that you see, the challenges that you are encountering. So maybe let's start with business first, Ketan, and then Pradeep, and then Abhimanyu, and then we'll reverse the order for the next question. Is that okay, Ketan?
Yeah, it's fine. So
Yes.
first of all, thanks. It's been privilege, joining you guys, and it's always great, joining distinguished HR professionals, and we keep going through a lot of tussle nowadays, as you currently explained. So it's been very challenging, and as you know, I don't have to explain about how challenging it is in terms of getting the fresh talent. Because electric vehicles require lithium-ion batteries, and there is no lithium-ion battery manufacturer, at a giga scale in India currently. So, world is looking at 200, 250 gigawatt hour plus, and we are now starting on it. So, obviously, we are scarce of, talent, and it's been a great challenge, getting right people to do right jobs. So, I usually look at the sectors which has, come up through this kind of growth in the past, and their experiences about, how they have strategized and how they have overcome the talent issue. And if you look at typical, growth in the IT sector around, 2000 to 2006, 2007, it was a very similar condition. And, there was, a lot of people who have sustained massive growth during that time, people multiplying their packages. But then post 2005, 2006, many people have faced challenges with the early retirement. And so what I was mainly thinking about, is it sustainable? I think that is the most important question. And you need to look at what is the sustainable model which you can develop in terms of overcoming those challenges. So now we are severely scarce of the talent, and that is a fact. And at this point of time, there is very little that we can do about it. And we need to have the accelerated learning programs. Simply hiring people at few multiples of packages, and is not sustainable even for our business. If you look at next 15 years timelines, this is not going to be sustainable. So as a value employer, we would never like to think about a short-term strategy of hiring people at whatever cost you get today, and then laying off a lot of people, and then reducing your salary bills. I think that is no option for reputed brands. So you need to look at how you can you know mix the fresh talent as well as the experienced people, and how you can build up the accelerated learning. And I think we have been working on those challenges right now. So it's been a tough challenge for everyone.
Okay. So thanks, Ketan, for bringing that out. You were talking about shortage of talent and the need of blending the talent with some experience and with fresh, and putting together some kind of a learning process. So that's your take. Pradeep, if you could talk about the landscape a little more, about the various skills, the various cities from where you are sourcing talent, and how it is, what is the future looking like, that will be good.
So first of all, thank you. Thank you to CLHR for inviting for this panel discussion. It's an important one for us as well, like Ketan and Abhimanyu mentioned in their own talks. The landscape that we have today demands that we have to look at people with little deeper knowledge, which is where the talent market has become very difficult for all of us. Many of our educational institutions or even the engineering colleges have not really equipped themselves to impart the right set of training that is required for this industry. It's all happening in bits and pieces or over projects, or some set of people are working on this and all that. So it's an immense pressure on this industry. So it's going to be always a mix of talent that's going to come in. This industry is going to see talents coming from outside the country, and some of the experienced talents who are in related industries who are going to come into this. The skills you asked me about, about the skills that we hire. It's going to be across multiple disciplines, because this is a very exciting industry. You are giving comparisons about the longevity of stay in various industry, and you talked about engineering, procurement, and contracting industry being one of the examples for having high longevity. This industry is going to be quite similar because it's multidisciplinary, and people have multiple opportunities to grow laterally and vertically. And it's in the early phase. This is the sunrise industry. So skills includes all kind of pure science and the engineering skills. People from IT are very critical here in multiple IT domains. It's very interesting that we want programmers, we want architects, we want embedded system specialists. So people in multiple disciplines are going to come here and work together to make this industry successful. So opportunities are plenty for those who want to learn, those who want to commit. And I wish actually everyone a lot of success by looking at opportunities to learn and come and join this industry. It's for everyone, not just my company, it's for the entire industry. I make an invitation.
Yeah, very good. Thank you, Pradeep, for bringing that out, that this is a sunrise industry and a multidisciplinary kind of a setup, so people can have vertical as well as lateral growth opportunities. And maybe there will be a time where the average tenure would be again 5 years or something of that kind. So coming to Abhimanyu, if you could weigh in on the current situation of the average tenure being very is small amongst various industry sectors. And anything else that you want to add as far as talent landscape is concerned?
Yeah. So I think I'll try not to repeat what Ketan and Pradeep have said, but in Mahindra, we also find the environment very challenging, and there's a lot of demand for the electric vehicle technology talent. I foresee, in fact, it has already happened. The demand for electric and electronics engineering students have gone up because of the talent which is required in the EV industry. The other piece I want to make a point is this is an evolving landscape. Much of the development or technology is changing very fast. It also depends on the OEM, whether they want to have a buy model or a make model. Many OEMs are trying to do both, or some are trying to buy, some are trying to make. So it depends on what kind of partnerships or alliances the OEMs will have from other OEMs/partners across the globe. So for example, if OEM says I will purchase the battery, then I don't need the battery talent. I'm getting the battery from outside. But if the OEM said no, I will also make the battery, then of course it needs to have that kind of a talent. Right? At the same time, so it depends on these factors as well. The other piece, what I would like to stress here is all automotive OEMs, and OES, which is the original equipment supplier, they are buying big time in electric vehicles. We see a lot of announcements getting made in public about tons of money being spent by these companies on developing the electric vehicle. So it's an exciting time ahead, for all the engineers who are in electric/electronics or who want to make their careers in the EV space. There's a clear shift from ICE to EV, and I can see that. The other challenge the industry will have is you have so many ICE engineers right now. They need to navigate and build or upskill themselves into the electric domain. So how do the industry scope up on that part? Right now, there's a clear demand mismatch between the EV, the demand for EV as well as the supply which is there. But having said this, can ICE and it's a question, can the ICE talent be upskilled to manage that demand? In Mahindra, we are trying to do that as well. Okay. The other piece is on the skills that are required. See, EV is nothing but a software game. So you require a lot of people on software, embedded systems, model-based software application, AutoSAR, Python, cybersecurity, function safety, data analytics, BSW, system integration, HIL testing, EMI integration, BMS, power electronics, telematics, cloud security. So you name it, these are all new age skills. The demand is more, supply is less. How do you do it? So I think this is where the catch is, and all the companies are vying for the same talent space, and hence you see exorbitant offers, average tenures going down because people are trading one offer with another offer. Extremely high attrition is there, among the industry. It's just because sheer play of demand and supply.
Absolutely. So thank you, Abhimanyu, for bringing out a kind of a list of all modern age, new age skills which are in high demand, the niche skills which are in high demand. And you also raised a good point about upskilling the ICE, internal combustion engine related technologies. People who have the skills related to that, how they can upskill themselves to the EV side of it. So good to hear that Mahindra is doing this, and maybe there are many other OEMs who are doing the same. So as far as the battery and the storage is concerned, Ketan, would you like to kind of throw some light on the kind of skills which are required, and how tough, or is it tougher, to kind of attract talent in that particular space? Very quick comment, and then I'll come to Pradeep, because he's also currently from the battery and cell side of it, and how overseas talent you are looking at, and is it what kind of challenges are you facing? Then we will shift the gears to talk about employer branding, how an employer can brand itself to attract those talent.
I think I was listening to Abhimanyu, and I must congratulate, the amount of skill sets he thrown at me. And at one point of time, I was, wondering that, as a R&D guy speaking. So It explains the amount of, involvement and hunting that, he has done. So I always feel that the business has to be an aggressor now in this scenario, because it's not going to be, very easy. As far as the technology is concerned, I always say that making a lithium-ion battery is as good as making a satellite. So it has got so many application layers, as Abhimanyu, in a very short time gave you. You have to have a very robust electrochemistry. You have to have a very robust, thermal management. You have, electronics. You have software, embedded software, cloud connectivity, data analytics, and a whole lot of things. So you just see any other device which is as complex as far as these application layers are concerned. There are very few, devices as complex as that. And then you handle a huge amount of energy, which is very critical, because, one small error can have a repercussions which can be extremely bad. And we have experienced a few incidences of, those things. So it's not only about, getting the people and, people joining there, but there has to be some amount of, passion which is to be, associated with that in terms of making that enterprise successful. So first of all, having a people is very difficult in this scenario. And then again, people with that kind of passion with you. And I feel it speaks whole lot about the value system that you propose to your people. So I always believe that people will deliver the qualities which we deliver to them.
Right.
And I think that is what sums up about how complex this is.
Okay, great. Pradeep, anything related to this battery and cell side of it? How you are attracting overseas talent, or what kind of challenges you are facing? Would you like to talk about it?
Yeah. So, like what Ketan has already explained, it is about the talents that are required in various topics. And one needs to have that passion and energy to learn in this area. So it's not going to be a cakewalk. And many of us in India today who are doing research in various labs or universities, we are in the early stage of cell development. And when we come to the industry, what really changes is it's not about just making it in the set of a lab where we have to make one or two samples. We are talking about industrializing it, because finally it has to be viable for the EV manufacturer to afford it, so that they can sell it to the customer at an affordable price. So there is a lot of thought process that needs to go into this. Our challenge is getting people who are trained enough with the balance of having worked with customers, with the markets, and at the same time, they also know about the technology quite well, be it in the cell side where it is more about electrochemistry, or be it on the other side of it where it is the battery and pack manufacturing, where people are good in electronics or in the software side. Yeah. So that's a challenge. So we are looking for, we have to look for people with that experience. But the good part is there are a lot of people who want to come back to India because they see that India is a great place where things are really happening. The industry is maturing. The companies are the big brands who are investing in this area, which is a good comeback. And it is a time that people find opportunities within the country than look at abroad.
Right. Good, thank you. So, Abhimanyu, if I come to you and let's talk about, we have discussed about several challenges, right, so far, and the landscape. It looks very interesting, all the new skills, and all the employer organizations are in a hurry to scale up, and ready-made talent is not available. Some of it is in research stage, and there is a great difference between the research side of it and then commercializing it. So it's an evolving process. Given this background, how do you think an employer will need to really look at brand itself to call itself as an employer of choice, or a kind of a brand which people remember for a long time, and the sort of in our industry, we talk about the decline ratio of offer to joining, and candidates not saying that I will come for an interview and don't come for an interview, and all those kind of issues that all of us face. Some of it, somebody could say that this is very unprofessional, but that's the reality today of the talent market. So, of course, a stronger employer brand will face some of the challenges lesser than a brand which is not there. So it's a journey. Every brand will traverse. So what are your thoughts on this, Abhimanyu? Then I'll come to Pradeep and Ketan finally.
Yeah, so it's a good question because it's a ever evolving EV market, a lot of challenges there, and what makes Mahindra a unique place to work. So I think there are a few things that we really speak about while speaking to the candidate or attracting candidates. One is the name Mahindra itself. Ours is a very powerful brand to work with. And in last 8 or 9 months, we have showcased the world of our ambitious electric vehicle plans. We have already told that we will be investing 10,000 crores in our Chakan plant. We have already told that, in fact, showcase the 5 new born electric vehicles that we'll plan to launch in another 2 to 3 years. Those models have been displayed. The social media is talking about it. And then we have also showcased our last mile mobility plans, where we speak a lot about what the future lies. So I think it's more to do that. This is where we are doing. You can come and see us. This is where our products are there. You can go to the YouTube channel. You can see the products which we plan to launch. So that makes it an exciting thing for them to come and be a part of this revolution. So number one, Mahindra name. Number two, the ambitions we have on the EV space. Number three, we also talk about the great place to work. Mahindra has been consistently as one of the top 25 great place to work in last many years. In fact, last more than 10 years, we have been consistently ranked as one of the top 25 great place to work. So I think we leverage a lot on that in terms of our system, process, everything. The fourth, and which is most important, I think, is the quality of work. We say, we know that people are not there for life. We know that they are shorter tenures. But what we say is, irrespective of the fact whether you spend 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, you will have the best quality time in Mahindra in terms of the content of work. Okay. And if we try to do it right from the day one, how do we really galvanize people, when they're on board and inducted, and also, giving them live projects, challenging work. The other piece we are heavily focusing on is on developing the capability. I know people will try, but still we say we will invest in capability building. Okay, so that can be our USP. We're trying to develop capability building as a USP. We also openly say that each employee is a brand ambassador for EV, and hence you people represent the Mahindra EV as such. We have, if I look at the overall percentage of employee referral hiring, it's more than 50% right now. So we are, of course, there are search firms which work with us. We have RPO who works with us, but still the maximum contribution of hiring happens through referrals, more than 50% in Mahindra, in the electric vehicle space. So this is a testimony of the fact that the kind of work that we do, and also the fact that we are listening to these employees. There have been a lot of things where people were not happy on some things like policies or the office space, etc. We listened to the employees. We changed our office location, because people were not happy with the kind of office environment or the office location we had earlier. So it's we are seen as an employer who is listening to the employees and also accordingly acting on it. So I think all these play an important part. Apart from this, the leadership connects. We have regular town halls in which we talk very openly and transparently as to this is where the challenge lies, and this has all helped us in making candidates come and join us. Of course, we do have our share of dropouts as well, even now, in spite of the fact that we do everything.
Yeah. So thanks, Abhimanyu. You spoke about a number of things. So, Pradeep, my question is that I think Abhimanyu broadly covered two aspects. One aspect is the organization's legacy, heritage, brand, which is there, but the three of you on this panel, all three of you come from organizations with iconic history behind you, but everybody may not have that. The second aspect that you talked about is that Abhimanyu spoke about is the culture, the way leadership is connecting with the people, the way the career journey is planned, listening to people, and so many other softer aspects, which I guess are replicable by an organization which doesn't have some of these, the iconic part of it. There are so many startups in this particular space. They don't have a history really to talk about. That doesn't mean that they can't really build a employer brand. So how do we deal with this kind of a situation? Imagine that you are advising a startup or a lesser known company or somebody who doesn't come from a automotive background. How do you deal with this? And then I'll come to Ketan from a business side. How do you look at it, and how do you partner with HR to build this? Yeah, Pradeep.
Yeah, it's a challenging one, definitely. So it's nice to also to talk about it. Yeah. So like what we have been talking about, this industry actually offers a lot of uniqueness in the job content. And when it's a new employer in the market, now we have already seen that there are so many companies have come into existence. They have invested, they have also started producing, they have also started commercializing various models, they have launched multiple models and so on. So it's very clear that you don't need always the legacy to be there, but legacy always helps because legacy is a proof that you can believe in this particular brand. To a new company, what's very important, obviously, is what is your real focus? Is it on, is it around creating some valuation and eventually sell it off, or you are focusing on cost, or you're really going to invest in people? Because for the company to be believable for the candidate, is this company investing in people? Whether it is for my own personal growth and learning, and is it taking care of my cares? Otherwise, why should I come and join to toil and finally that all the benefits are going to be reaped by someone else? So it's a tough game for them to build that credibility over a period of time, and that needs a lot of endurance. So it needs grit and endurance from the team. So leadership, having the right set of people with the right capabilities, they have to come up front, start demonstrating, roll up the sleeves, and be willing to dirty their hands in showcasing what the company is going to do. So that level of participation has to be has to be done by the leadership rather than just look at give instructions and stay behind the closed doors.
Right. Thank you, Pradeep. So, Ketan, what do you think about it? How do you partner with HR to make sure that the organization is a talent magnet?
Yeah, so these two brands, I think Exide and Mahindra, L&T has got diversified technology businesses. So we have got a huge talent pool inside the organization, which is quite diverse. So if you look at the amount of retention, it's been it's been pretty long retention. So I joined L&T 9 months back, and we had a 6 long service awards, within a team of 100 people. And those were like 25 years, 30 years, and 20 years plus, working with L&T. And I was just curiously finding out about how they have spanned, how person can stay in one profile for 20 years. And I found that they have got different opportunities every 5 years, new challenges, new verticals, new sort of responsibilities. And that sort of, makes these manpower very adaptable manpower. So, that's very big strength of having adaptable manpower with you. So we are a combination of the lateral hires as well as the internal people, which makes our workforce extremely robust and, with the diverse technical capabilities which this particular industry requires. Getting the new talent is obviously that value stays with you. And, I see a lot of communication from people who are working overseas on my social media, asking me for any opportunity wherein they would like to, come back to India and work with L&T, and sort of, people giving me, messages that, I was a GET that time, and I had an aspiration to work with L&T, and at this stage, I would definitely like to come and join, and those kind of experiences. So how you, carry forward this value within your business is absolutely an important aspect. And when new people are joining, I think there are basically two larger aspects that you will have to handle. One is the value, and the other is the aspirations. So, there has to be a value system, which is an absolutely essential inert, characteristics, but the aspirations about how you are going to handle this young generation. So we are, we are working on a lot of different concepts. L&T has been one of the largest sourcing, companies at a GET level, at the graduate intern levels, and we recruit huge number of graduate interns. And now we are working on how we can expedite their learning. So there is one concept that we are working on, how we can have a 3 years kind of experience imparted on these fresh joiners in 1 year's time. So in 1 year's time, I will have half of my interns, which are as competent as a 3 years old. So as a business, we need to define our requirements very clearly, and we need to design a lot of those programs with the help of the HR. And once the fresh incoming talent understands that, we are investing in them, and there is an inert value system which is already present, that gives them a sort of, long-term view about the growth which they can get within the organization in a sustained way. Also, it's very important that, we make them aware of the market picture and all the short-term opportunities which are there, and what those short-term opportunities has led to in the similar businesses in the past, which has sustained this kind of growth, and where you, look at what is the real value, and then, sort of chase on that particular value, is also a very important aspect in terms of handling their aspirations. So if you are not handling their aspirations properly, you will sort of end up training these people, and they will leave and they will jump into some other, businesses. And this is where, whole value education is very important with these employees. So I feel that the business has to impart value, and it has to have a value framework which is very clearly defined in terms of, attracting these people and sustaining this talent.
Sure. So good. Thank you for that, Ketan. I think all three of you spoke about the need for organization, culture building, showing them the value, showing them a future path and all that. So I see on LinkedIn a couple of questions. I see a question from Kusha, who says, let's share your demands towards the needed skills. Okay, so they're basically talking about what skills and what are the plans that each of your organization has in terms of, I mean, those are specific questions about each of your organization. That's the two questions I could see on LinkedIn. Some viewers are asking, to the extent that you could kind of briefly talk about what skills and what kind of a broad number. If you want to take that question, please take that.
So I can take that question. I can start. In fact, I already spoke about some skills that we are looking at. What I can say is, Mahindra has very robust plans on EV, and we are looking at electrification of our passenger vehicles. We are looking at electrification of commercial vehicles. We are coming in a very big way in last mile mobility. And these skills, what I just said, in terms of the vehicle software or embedded systems or system integration, functional safety, homologation, electrical wire harness, battery management system. These skills are required in all the three verticals in Mahindra. So the demand is there. In fact, we are constantly hiring right now. Okay. So if, and the numbers are there, in each of the verticals, the numbers are there. From a location standpoint, we are there in Pune, we are there in Bangalore, we are there in Chennai, we are there in Coimbatore. So from a location standpoint, I think from a talent perspective, we see a lot of talent in these cities. So, all of you are please welcome to please apply to the open positions. We are more than happy to take it forward.
Sure. Pradeep, Ketan, you want to take that question for your respective organizations?
So I may not be, be able to give the statistics about what is the skill set required. I think we have We have mainly spoken about it. See, resource is one of the constraints for your business, and you need to take it that way. You cannot excel beyond your constraints beyond a certain limit,
Yeah.
and you should be evaluating what is that. So as you know that for me to get machinery, it's going to take 24 months. Now I may make it 22 months, but I may not be able to make it to 12 months. So if I'm doing a planning that I would be setting it up in 12 months, I am planning for failing.
Yeah.
So like other aspects of business, you need to have a very clear understanding and aspect about how you can get this manpower. It's going to be your constraint, and to plan in a realistic manner is going to be an absolutely key to the success. So I'm not saying that we don't have to be extra ambitious, but at the same time, uh, in this industry there is no scope for failure, and the repercussions of failures are very big. So I many a times say that the cost of being wrong is way higher than cost of being little late in this industry. And I think many players will experience this thing over a period of time. So there is no option for you to develop people at this point of time. You may hire some laterals from overseas who have already experienced in the space, but you are not going to be able to fill up your entire talent pool by doing that. And there is no escape. So the amount of incubation period for learning which is required for these people is required. You cannot expedite it. So this has to be one part of your resource planning, and not going up with outrightly impossible expectation to your HR in terms of planning something which is absolutely unviable. And I think this is going to give you a better chance of success in this industry, rather than blindly hunting for something which is absolutely not possible.
Right. Thank you. So Pradeep, you want to say something about what skills and what numbers?
Yeah. So to start with, Exide Energy is setting up the first gigawatt factory in India. And it is a factory which is fructifying, as we all can see it right in front of us in Bangalore. So once it is ready, I think that we'll be the first one producing so much, right? So that tells all the participants, obviously, here in this event to understand that the opportunities are available in plenty, because we are getting into the heart of the EV, which is the cell, right? So the cells are going to be made in India. And so we need people who can contribute towards the cell manufacturing process. We want R&D experts. We want mechanical engineers who will be part of the manufacturing, part of the production, design. There are multiple areas. Then we need people with electrical and electronic background towards the both towards the battery and pack area, as well as in the production facilities. So we are looking at growing in big way, and our investment has already been committed, and this is real. So in that sense, the opportunities are plenty, and I am offering and onboarding people in big numbers month on month. So welcome to each one of you. We have this facility in Bangalore where we are going to manufacture the cells. And we already have the pack and modules manufacturing plant in Gujarat. So that's another area where we have a lot of opportunities for people to explore further.
Right.
So it's a great time with us.
Yeah. So good. So let's, I think it gives us a good overview of the talent landscape and the kind of challenges that we face, and how an organization with history and legacy, as well as a new age organization, how it can make yourself an attractive employer. All of our panelists today, all of them are advocating establishing processes, systems, career journeys, which learning opportunities, growth opportunities for people, and building a culture which is appealing to the younger generation. So let's talk a little more about some of the best practices that you all think that the HR folks who are listening to this webinar can take away. or the business people who are listening to this webinar can take away. So let me start with Ketan, then I'll come to Abhimanyu and then Pradeep.
Yeah, so as I told you, there are two ways I look at, nurturing this talent. And one is the values and other is the aspirations. So, both have to be handled well. And, you need to look at any resource as a basic human being to start with, for them to, be comfortable, working with your organization. So I feel that this respect, trust, is very important. They need to be heard, as Abhimanyu said, and they have to be treated equally. I think these are all basic values that we need to have. We need to have an empathy for these people. And I worked with teams, subsequently over my journey throughout my career, and I experienced a significantly low attrition compared to the industry or even within the other departments in my same organization. And I sort of try to evaluate it and sort of put it into some sort of framework about how these things can happen. And then I got the framework with the four very important values, I think, that we need to be looking at. And one is absolutely respect is most important. Even if you're not respecting what a person is saying, we need to respect individual as a person. So it's an absolutely uncompromised value. The trust is also very important. And I've experienced throughout my life, if you are trusting somebody, there will be 1% of the people which may not come genuinely to your trust. And, because of that 1%, you cannot generalize on other 99%. It is one value, which sort of builds ownership within people. And, sort of they feel that this is my own organization. And, they put that extra mile or, that kind of efforts in terms of, bringing the success along the way. And if these two things has to work, there are other two things which are very important is accountability and delivery. So having very sound accountability measures are absolutely important. So defining their roles and responsibilities and evaluating them and having a very tangible systems and transparent system in terms of doing that is absolutely critical. So unless you do that, there is always going to be a gap between the managers and the employees. And this is to be, there's a lot of automation and a lot of beautiful systems which are available right now, wherein you can make it fully transparent. So employee understands why he has not been given certain scores or why he has been given certain score and what is expected out of him. Training is absolutely important part of that. So building accountability is very important. And at the end of the day, the managers combine this all and deliver the objectives at the end of the day. So there has to be a value related to that. So if you are building up a system which is taking care of these four values, I think this is going to be an absolutely win-win between your business objectives as well as objectives of the employees which are going to join in modern times.
So this is a nice framework that you presented of respect, trust, accountability, and delivering the result orientation. So question, Pradeep, that you think, this is like a framework, it's very easier said than done. We can sit in this room and sort of advise. In an organization, there are hundreds of roles, and it really requires solid HR minds and determination, focus to put everybody's thing, and then implementing it with the line managers, that they have to every year assess the performance, the potential, and then you will say that, okay, this person is a kind of high on both, so should go here. So the 9-box, tool and all that we all know, it is quite an elaborate, and it calls for certain degree of maturity in the HR's team to be able to implement this. So what would you recommend, Ajay? Maybe some shortcuts, or while they say there is no shortcut to success, but there must be something that the startups or the smaller organizations can quickly replicate who may not have such seasoned HR people like you all, or seasoned business leaders like Ketan. What do you think?
Yeah, so that's a risk for a startup, definitely. But at the same time, in the context of a startup, there is a huge money that's being it's put at stake, and one cannot take the risk on it completely, saying that I'm a startup, I can do whatever I feel like, right? So with that practicality and reality in mind, they need to be a little patient enough to recruit people of quality. When I say quality, it means the technical and the soft skill balance is equally important. They would need to be dynamic with regard to the structure, because organization structure in the classical sense may not work here. The placement of people will not work in the classical sense. One may have to, again, adopt multiple ways. So, anyways, in the case of a startup, we can always continue to evolve over a period of time before we hit the stability. That's the way in which, don't put some rigid thing at the back and start placing people. First is you look for outcomes, you look for the purpose for which you are hiring people, and get them on board if you have the right quality, which is my first one. Second one, being a startup definitely is the key requirement is the passion. Yeah, because there is a lot of energy required, a lot of commitment required. Look for that. So if there is a small learning gap, I'm sure the person with the passion is going to pick it up. This will drive the organization to great heights. Over a period, there is a lot of correction which it's going to do on its own. The system is going to take care of it by itself.
Right.
So that's what I believe one could do in
Okay.
that kind of environment.
Okay, thanks. Maybe I kind of rushed you a bit in the interest of time. So I'm just quickly coming to Abhimanyu. How do you think, any additional HR perspective that you want to add for this growth and culture?
I will spin this the other way. See, I think for a company, Mahindra is a very purpose-led company. So if somebody wants to join a purpose-led company, which is stable at the same time looking for exponential growth, this is a company which anyone can vouch for. Very ethical. The management is professional, so it has all the ticks. Which you can. The other piece which I want to flip is from a candidate's perspective. I think we see a lot of, how should I say, if I say shorter tenures, people exchanging jobs for quick money. Okay, so my only suggestion to the candidates or future candidates are, money will come. I think that's fine. By the same time, I think you still need to build those skill sets which are required. You still need to deliver on those projects which are there, because that will add a lot of value to your CV. I will go to the example of Three Idiots. Aap kabil bano, kamyabi apne aap aayegi. So instead of vying for that money and changing jobs very fast, only because for monetary reasons, I think one needs to take a step back and see whether they have delivered enough in that role and whether they have added any skill sets or not. If the answer is no, then one should spend that little more time in that organization to develop the skill sets and deliver on it. The other piece is most of the people think, career, from a career standpoint, career growth is only vertical. I would like to differ here. Career growths are not vertical. Career growths are also horizontal. We should think career being linear. So you will have a lot of horizontal rotations and then you go vertically up. So I think these are some of the things that we should keep in mind. The other piece is they should plan their next move, keeping in mind their short to medium term aspirations.
Okay.
How their move will help them to enable them to get that bigger role that they have in mind. I think that is important rather than only money being the criteria.
Right. Since you spoke about it, let me just come to the last question on this webinar today is about the benefits. Compensation and benefits are two aspects from a candidate perspective. That candidate looks at culture, purpose, long-term financial stability, leadership commitment, clarity of purpose, etc., etc. But the compensation plays a very important role. So, of course, we know one of the drivers in today's young people, a strong driver, is also about money. Apart from money, yeah, there is a limit to what we can offer as employers on the compensation part of it. On the benefits part of it, what are your thoughts that how can organizations really differentiate themselves to sort of deal with
Well, I think one is
reality?
So I think one is your compensation related benefits. Whether you call it take home salary, then you have other benefits like medical insurance, then you have some people give mobile benefits, travel reimbursements. So all these are related to compensation family. But what I'm emphasizing is compensation is only a part of the overall experience the employee or the candidate gets. I think what is more important is to focus on things that are more fulfilling. Okay, compensation is one of them, but not the entire thing. You, for example,
Right.
learning, the growth, happiness, the kind of experience you have in the
Yeah.
organization, the peer or the kind of collaboration you have in the organization, the culture part of it. All these things go hand in hand. I know compensation is important, but that is not the only thing. There are other aspects. What I just told you are, if not, these aspects are equally important, if not more. So I
Yeah.
think one needs to have that kind of perspective and then decides the career. And of course, the company per se, one should also do a lot of research on the company, the legacy, the ambitions it has. At the same time, the kind of role that the person is getting into. Also do a lot of homework in terms of the peer network, the future manager. All these things should play an important role. The kind of culture it has, whether the learning opportunities are given, not giving the kind of career growth the company will give. Apart from the money point of view.
Right, right. I guess the kind of mentorship that people receive from others is a very important aspect, and they should look at it. So, Pradeep, anything just to add to this point, whatever Abhimanyu described, would you like to add anything, any recommendations, any suggestions? What he said is, of course, true, but anything you have to add to this?
No, that's precisely the point. People should look at the job as a holistic one. And in this industry being new, it's very important to look at who are the mentors in the organization. Because if I'm joining a new place, do have people who have got the right skills as my leaders who are going to show me the path. Because
Right.
one is easy to say that I have opportunity to learn, but where does this learning come from? Do I have the right people who will guide me? So look for the credentials of the people. Do they have that kind of
Yeah.
background? That's an important part.
Sorry,
And that's where the benefit becomes meaningful.
right. Sorry to interject on that. Any one or two innovations which has caught your attention related to employee benefits, which you would like to share with our viewers?
I don't probably have something which has to say specific to EV. Otherwise, this industry itself is practicing multiple options to help people on multiple areas, be it on the employee wellness, mental health topics,
Yeah.
workplace safety. All these are common to every industry. So I don't have something to say as unique to our industry, but everything is important and common.
Right, right. So Ketan, I'll bring the final question of this webinar. I see one viewer, what's his name, Srikant, he's watching it on YouTube. He's giving possibly a suggestion more than a question, that should the industry sort of collaborate with various engineering colleges and academic institutions to set up some centers of excellence. How do you react to this, Ketan?
Yeah, so I think that is exactly what we are doing in another way. And I think the educational institutes have also realized, and we have been working with a lot of educational institutes in terms of getting this fresh talent. Although we are not having the challenges the way the other startups have, because of a very stable pool of manpower that we have with us. But we also need to have a strategy about people who are going to stay with you for a longer period, and recruitment is a filter for that. And also you will have a lot of people who will be coming and contributing for a shorter period and going away. So there has to be a different method of handling those people, and not mixing with your long-term employees, and maybe giving them a higher short-term benefit for some assignments. So you maintain your decorum and your long-term composition of your organization intact, in spite of able to attract a lot of talent.
Yeah. So great. It was great conversing with all of you. We have spent about an hour together. I hope that it was very useful for all our viewers and the panelists. We all came together in spite of our respective schedules. A lot of respect to all of you for spending that. Let me just conclude by saying that this is an exciting time that we all are living right now in. And like a famous saying, someone said that if it scares you, it might be a good thing to try. So I think, before the webinar started, Ketan and I were chatting up and we were talking about, Niti Aayog has said that 70% of the commercial cars in our country will become electrified, EV, by 2030. So it's an ambitious target. So is it really realistic? So the idea, the thought that crossed my mind that time was this statement. So I thought it's a good statement to end this webinar with. If it scares you, it might be a good thing to try. So the same thing for all employers, for all of us and the recruiting and staffing companies, as well as the candidates who are aspiring to work on a career journey, want to travel on a career journey which is exciting, interesting, high rewards, and very fulfilling. So thank you all very much for spending the time with us. I hope it was fulfilling and enjoyable. Thank you.
Thank you, Aditya, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.